Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join certified facilitators and coaches Betsy McLoughlin and Kathy Williams to delve into different areas of your life. Get unstuck and create the life that is truly possible for you. These joyful ladies have changed their lives by utilizing the tools and techniques they share with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Kathy and Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to Imperfect Brilliance. I'm Kathy Williams, here with the most playful person I know, my co-host, Betsy McLoughlin. And our topic today is money serious business? So let's find out if we can have more funny with money. This highly charged topic in a lot of people's worlds, right? And one of the things that Betsy and I have really opened up to in the past 5 or so years is the fact that money follows joy. It's not the other way around. So let's have some money talk. And that's one of the things that's taboo in so many families as well. Like, don't talk about politics, don't talk about sex, don't talk about religion, don't talk about money. Right? So,
I like
in
the
your
voice
family.
You're using.
Say it again?
I like the voice.
Where'd
I
that
like
voice
the voice
come
you're
from?
using, Kathy.
So, in your family, was money discussed or avoided? And, before we even go there, Bets, would you like to talk a little bit about who is Kathy Williams and who is Betsy McLoughlin?
Sure. Thank you for that fun introduction, Kathy. And so we are so many things. We are internationally published best-selling authors. We are coaches, radio show hosts. On
kind of
OMTimes
obviously, right?
Radio, right? Am I stating the obvious? Yes. And we're moms, and we're entrepreneurs, and we also are certified facilitators with Access Consciousness, which is a whole body of work that we have embraced and made our lives so much more ease and joyful, and it's ever expanding. So we do use a lot of the tools and the questions that we have learned and desire to share with you guys, our wonderful audience. Anything you would like to add to that, Miss Kathy?
Well, I would just love to say that we have created a group. If you'd like to ask questions during the show, we have Imperfect Brilliance on Facebook. You can head to Facebook and ask us questions. And I think it's called, Expand Your Life with Imperfect Brilliance. And it's really just getting started. We really have not even invited people to it yet. So consider yourself invited. Hop on over on Facebook, Expand Your Life with Imperfect Brilliance. And you can ask questions in there, questions for the show, in between shows, during shows. I'm in there now, so if you have a question, you can post it in there, and we're happy to address that. Or if you would like to come have your voice heard, you can hop on the air with us, and we'd love to hear from you. Because we wouldn't be here without listeners like you guys, and we love hearing from you and having you guys inform what we do next and where we go next. And we know that money is big in a lot of people's worlds, which is why we're having this conversation. Woo! So, Betsy, did you ever have a time in your life when you were doing work you didn't like in order to get a paycheck?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. I when my son was small, I had a job that was relatively close to my house. In my area, I live in a suburb of Washington, D.C., so we have a lot of traffic. And so I found a job that had good benefits, and it was within 15, 20-minute commute, unless, there was an accident or something, which was very good. And I wasn't really happy there, but I stayed for a long time, and I justified all the reasons why I should stay there and why I couldn't find a better job. So definitely I have stayed places where it wasn't joyful, but I had already made all these decisions and then felt like I didn't have a choice in the matter, so I was kind of stuck. How about you?
Stuck.
Yeah, stuck.
For me, I have never really worked in a job that I didn't like in some sense or another. However, I definitely had the starving artist kind of thing, where you have to suffer a little bit for your art or for your work. And yes, you were lucky to do something you love and receive any amount of money for it. For a long time I made $250 barely a week. And I was happy for the most part doing what I was doing as a ballerina, and that amount did go up. But it was definitely a mentality of no, you're lucky to be being paid anything for doing this. So, and I would love to bust that myth of the starving artist, because suffering is optional. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it really is. There is a whole thing that you just hear over and over, like the suffering artist, or you have to suffer for your art, or it's not going to mean as much if you haven't worked hard. And there's probably hundreds of more sayings like that we have all heard and probably said as well. That never really stop to ask, is that even true? You just hear it, so you accept it, and you kind of keep going with, oh, okay, well, so-and-so said it, so it must be true.
Yeah, what if we didn't have to buy that lie or perpetuate it anymore? What if we just asked, okay, is there another possibility here? And what questions do I have to ask to open the door to a greater possibility with my art, with my jewelry, with my creations, with my business? You don't have to be an artist to also, a lot of healers have the mentality, oh, healing should be free, or how can I charge for this? I really value people and care for them, so how can I charge for this? And it's because your time is valuable. Because if you weren't doing this for an hour or as long as you're doing it, then you would be doing something that makes you money. And so would you be willing to receive for what you're doing? And consider it a valuable thing, a valuable service, a valuable creation, and receive for it. Not just from it, because I know a lot of times we just love to do the work. So then it's well, I love it so much. That was not hard. So how can I receive money for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And so what if that was one of the things that you could change? So, sorry, the words were going way faster in my brain than I could get them out of my mouth. So when you find yourself thinking, well, it's so easy, so that is so easy for you, but that doesn't mean that it's really easy for the next person. So what if what you think is so easy and no one would even pay you money for all the different things that you do in your life that are easy for you? What if those are actually the things that would create money for you in a whole different way than you ever even looked at it before?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times we discount, ourselves and our services, and instead, if we look at what is easy, what is joyful, and what contribution does that create on the planet? Let's say you're really good at, I don't know, doing something intuitive, and, you're not maybe really good at creating websites. I mean, is it more valuable to have you here trying to create websites on the planet, or more valuable for you to be doing what's easy for you and what creates more and contributes more? So everywhere, I'm going to use the Access Consciousness Clearing statement now, and it's like a magic wand for creating a different possibility. And it involves asking a question first and then bringing the energy up of that and clearing it. So everywhere you tend to discount what you're good at and what's so easy for you that you wouldn't consider it valuable enough to make a lot of money, will you destroy and uncreate that times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And that is the Access Consciousness Clearing statement. And when I said the word discount, it was so funny because it's like we discount ourselves in our own thinking, right? It's just in our thinking. And then oftentimes when we know someone gets it, like, oh, they really like this painting, or, oh, they value my skills or whatever, we'll also discount it for them financially. Have you ever done that, Bets?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, when you are so willing to discount yourself, and I'm not saying that I don't even still, but I always ask questions. Will it, what will it create? What will it contribute to whatever's going on? And not be the first one always to discount my services. And in that, I have found that I'm way more honoring of me. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned, you ask questions because, yeah, discounting for someone is not a wrong thing. It's not a bad thing. We just have to look at, what's it going to create if I give this person a discount or not. It's funny because I have a client and who comes to see me for private yoga, and she's up there in age and not retired. Yeah, I think she's one of those people who will never retire. And now I'm actually working with her husband as well, and they're both so lovely. So I give them private yoga lessons each week, and he's in his 80s. So when I first started working with them, I gave her a really low rate. I'm like, oh, she's a senior, da-da-da. And then over time, I ultimately realized, hey, they have as much money or more as than most of my clients. They don't need to have a senior rate. and they are more than happy to pay my regular rate. So it's just funny how we go into things sometimes with conclusion, and conclusion is one of the words you didn't mention outright earlier, Betsy, but you definitely like danced with it. Oh, I was under the conclusion that I didn't have other possibilities working this job that was nearby, like that. And so how many conclusions are really clouding our awareness of what's available financially that we just haven't even looked at or discovered because those conclusions are in the way?
Can you say that again? Do you remember the last question you just said? That was awesome.
So let's consider conclusions like clouds. And there are so many possibilities around us, so many possibilities that of what we could do using the skills that we've built up over a lifetime, not just the skills in one particular area, but like all our life experience has contributed something to us. So if we're functioning from conclusion, it's like those clouds are covering us from seeing and preventing us from seeing the possibilities that are available.
For sure.
And if we're just willing to ask a couple questions like, okay, what's available for me? How could I use all the skills I have? Let's say we'll explore some of those different possibilities. And if you want to pop into the Facebook group too, it is called, I believe, Expanding the Possibilities with Imperfect Brilliance. So find us there and you can enter what's going on for you. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for listening to Imperfect Brilliance, everyone.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Imperfect Brilliance, everyone. This is Kathy Williams here with my magical co-host, Betsy McLoughlin. And before we get back to our money conversation and exploring and expanding possibilities with that, Betsy, do you have anything coming up in person or online?
I do. Thank you for asking. I am teaching a foundation class in Virginia, the end of Virginia in the United States, in the end of April, the 26th, 2018, and it is a wonderful class that really was the beginning for me for changing so many things. And I certainly invite you guys to come play with me. And I know, Kathy, you've got a couple foundation, and I'm looking at some other dates, but nothing else is set yet. And I know you've got a couple that are set. You kind of have a few going on.
I do. The first thing I have coming up, which starts tomorrow, Wednesday. What day is that? Hey, the first Wednesday in April is a radical abundance free challenge. And it's just to unlock you from some points of view and old beliefs and conditioning that stop you from having all the abundance in any area that you would like to have. So you can find out more about that at iotransformation.com/abundance. So it's like insideouttransformation.com/abundance. So IO transformation. And then, yes, I do have a couple of foundation classes coming up, and these classes change so much for people. I had one last week, and we changed so much about people's points of view about their bodies, their frustration with their bodies, and their family, and beliefs that kind of fed to them via family. It was so much fun that I actually added another one on Maui to my calendar. So I have one coming up on May 2nd through 4th, 2nd through 5th on Maui, the island of Maui, and then one in London at the very end of June, and one in South Carolina, Hilton Head, July 20th or so. So don't quote me on those exact dates, but head over to accessconsciousness.com/Kathy Williams with a K, and you can find out all the dates and places and spaces there to come play with us. And yes, so I would love to continue this conversation about finding ways to use your skills and talents that maybe you haven't been seeing by asking questions. Like, okay, if I'm a school teacher and maybe I'm finished teaching school because I really didn't like it or it was too stressful, like, what do you know now that you could go back and teach people who are school teachers and super stressed, like about moving on or about how to do self-care or whatever it is. It's like, what skills do you have that you've kind of left behind or aren't looking at using in a completely different way that could create a whole nother reality for you and for others?
So true. And right before we went to break, you were talking about how conclusions can kind of be like a cloud cover.
Yeah.
And I loved how you were using that analogy. And certainly in what I talked about with deciding that I couldn't do any better with the job or everything that was, being in that cloud cover of conclusion, I had my head down and thought that I was stuck there. So what we love to do is talk about how questions can really change. It really can change things. So if I had like the tools that I have now, what questions would I have asked, or what questions would I suggest, if And I certainly sometimes still can go to a space of conclusion. And I'm very grateful that now I'm like, oh, maybe I'm in conclusion. So what questions could I ask here that could open, like clear the cloud cover and have a clear sky of infinite possibilities, where 5 minutes before I had decided there were no other possibilities. So, Kathy, what comes to mind as I'm talking about what questions could we ask to change whatever is going on that we have decided we cannot change?
Well, that's a great question in itself. What questions can we ask, right?
Yeah.
What questions could I be asking that I haven't been asking that would open doors for me? What other possibilities are available that I haven't explored yet that would create more ease, more fun, more money in my life? And if you listen to Betsy and I, and you've heard our show before, we ask a ton of questions. And, I was in the airport. I went to Rome a couple of weeks ago. And in the airport, coming back to Maui, I saw the Harvard Business Review, and the cover of it said, "Brainstorming, Why Questions Are More Important Than Answers." And I was like, yes! Questions really open us up to possibility. I've been a coach for many, many years, and one of the things that I often have had clients do when they're sort of not aware of other possibilities is just say, okay, for the next 5 minutes, and it could be 3 minutes, for the next 3 to 5 minutes, we're just going to have you barf all over this page. And what I mean by that is, let's say there's something that's a challenge for you, or let's take money. And for the next 3 to 5 minutes, just sit with your page and write down everything that comes to mind about how you could create more money in your life. And it could be ridiculous. It could be like go outside and have people go stand on the street and people pay me and I'll do a custom dance for them. It could be anything. But the idea is that creative barf generates new possibilities because you're just getting everything onto the page. You don't censor at all. So some of it's going to be really practical and logical, and other of it will be totally, random and irrational. And all of it's welcome, because then you can also, when you're finished with that 5 minutes, take a look at that page and be like, oh, well, actually, I really could do this one, or this one could work with this one, and create something really useful. And so it's just a way of getting your head, getting yourself to think outside the box, and getting also anything that's been on your mind, like maybe you had an idea to make money, really getting it onto that page. And then that page can be a catalyst to other greater possibilities.
Isn't it interesting that you saw that random title in the airport in the Honor magazine? And how cool is that? And I love the idea of brainstorming. Like I a lot of times will have so much going on in my brain that to get it written down, like, really helps to get it out of my mind. And so if you're like thinking of ideas, like what other ways could I create income? And you start writing them down, one thing could lead to another, could lead to another, could lead to another. And in that, like what other possible talents and skills do you have that people would be thrilled to pay you money? I recently was speaking to someone who is an excellent organizer, and she was talking about how easy it is for her to clean out her closet and to organize things. And as I was listening to her talking, it's like, have you ever done this for anyone else? And she's like, no, why would anybody want to pay me?
Oh my gosh.
It was right. Exactly. It was like the perfect thing. And I just started laughing. I was like, honey, there are a lot of people who would be thrilled to pay you money to come into their house and organize them.
She's so welcome to come to my house.
Right? And she looked at me like I had three heads, and it was such a foreign concept to her. And then what was really, really cool is as she was looking at it and thinking, oh, maybe really, not everybody does this. This isn't easy and natural for everybody. It's honey, it really isn't. So fast forward a couple of months, and she called me. I cannot believe it. I'm so excited. Somebody just hired me to come in and organize them.
Wow.
She said, I never in a million years would have thought of that. And that's what we were talking about, of what do you do that is so easy, so simple, that it is not even in your awareness that somebody would pay you money to do it.
And not just $5.
Right. They would gladly pay you money. Like you said, please come to my house and organize me, right? Like, yes, please. And, a lot of times I did that when I used to run a temporary agency company. And when we were getting it off the ground, I was doing it for a gentleman who I used to work for. And he asked me, he said one day he wanted to start this temporary company and would I help him run it? And I'm looking at him like, are you kidding? I don't know anything about this. I've just gone and done some temp jobs, but okay, sure, I'm willing. And then the next thing you know, when there was no one else, I was actually going out on these temp jobs, which was fine. It was fun, and it met a lot of neat people. And so one of the jobs was going into somebody's office and organizing them. And it was really easier to go into somebody else's place where I had no emotional attachment, I had no knowledge of anything, and be able to, help organize. And it turned into it was like a 2-week project. But at the end, like, she was so happy to have this done, and it was a small thing. And in her life, it really was a big contribution. So anyhow, like, I wonder if you all are up for a little challenge, what if you wrote down things that other people have told you you're really good at, that you probably have kind of just, whatever, shoot it away, like, whatever, yeah, right, everybody can do that. And what if you started looking at what that is and writing it down?
Oh, I like it.
Right, yeah, what is fun? What is joyful? And in that, what, maybe something would hatch. Who knows?
Yes, that sounds like a fun activity, and I'm going to post it in the Facebook group there too.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, and I'd love to bring in, I did a class called Money Magic a couple of months ago, and that is also for purchase on my website. And what it was 15 days of different exercises and explorations, and some hour-long calls as well. Most of the days were short, and then there are 3-hour-long calls. And some of the things that people brought to the table during those classes, during that class, were things like, oh, well, my family wouldn't like it if I had a lot of money. Or, that would make me different from them and they would want to take it from me. Or, all these different points of view regarding family. And wow, so I'm just curious if that's coming up for listeners. And if so, where have you made family more important than you having the money and the possibility and the joy that you would really like to have? And is that, let's go into projections and expectations. Is that just a story in your head that you've created? Like, okay, my dad wouldn't like it if I had money. Right? It's not for real. It's just something you created. Or my husband wouldn't like it if I made more money than he does. Is that real? Like, I had that point of view for a long time, and my husband was like, what? I would love it if you did. You know, it's like, go for it, he said. So, like, what stories around money are we telling ourselves that we can just stop? Like, oh, nope, it's just a story. It's just as real as the 3 bears. It has no power over me. Right? Do the 3 bears have power over you? Goldilocks? No, it's just a story. And so, like, we concoct these stories in our head, and then we make it, like, mean something and limit our actions that we take and limit the things that we create. When really it's just something made up.
Right. So I'm wondering all the stories that we've told ourselves. What if we were willing to stop telling ourselves these stories and stop buying into them and ask instead, like, what else truly is possible? You guys are listening to Imperfect Brilliance. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned as we talk more about is money serious business.
Thanks, everybody. We'll be back in a few.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me, and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
My name is Meera Batra, and this is How I Live United. Many families have come to America for a better life. I advocate for these families with United Way. United Way empowers them to see opportunities available. We help them get involved with their kids' schools and network within the community. My name is Meera Batra. I help families see opportunity and succeed. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
So welcome back, you guys. You are listening to Imperfect Brilliance, where today we were talking about money. And at the very beginning of the show, Kathy was cracking me up, and she went into this very serious voice. Is money serious business? And she had a voice I'd never heard her talk before. And it cracked me up. And I wonder, like, even as we're talking about money and seriousness, and what does that mean to you? So let's destroy and uncreate all of our decisions and judgments and conclusions and all the points of views that we have bought and heard from other people our whole entire lifetime about what money is and how it must be very, very serious. Would you like to do the clearing statement for us, Miss Kathy?
Yes. Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
You know, it's funny, too, that we're talking about money here in the United States, and I know for other parts of the world, too, you know, that right now there's a lot of people are working on their taxes. And you talk about serious business and stress and angst and everything. So how do you make something that is such a traditionally not a joyful thing? Money matters. Talking about taxes, avoiding the subject of money. Where can we find joy in all of this? How many different ways can money be joyful? And I bet, you know, there's not a whole lot of conversation around there about joy and money.
Yes. Yeah, and it's almost like you're different. You stick out if you're willing to have joy around money, right? It's almost one of those things like if you are a joyful person around money, like are you willing to stick out and create that different possibility for and with people? I mean, that's one of my real favorite things to do because, you know, if you look at the statistics, like 50% of the people in the U.S., and, you know, I mean, globally it's a lot more, don't have a retirement account. They don't have savings for retirement. 25% of people do not have a savings account, right? So this is a real thing for people where it's like, what can we do and change for people so that you have money both now and in the future? Not just for now, not just for spending now. I mean, the levels of debt are going up and up in the U.S. As compared to 30 years ago. Anyway, don't get me started because I can talk about this for a long time. But it's like, what can you choose that will create more money and more joy for you? And by doing and being that, you'll be an anomaly and invite others to a different possibility too.
I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, how different are you willing to be around money? Around the conversation of money, around the creation of money. You know, we've quickly touched on a whole bunch of different subjects within money. We talked a little bit about, you know, are you willing to make more money than your family? Are you willing to be judged for making money? Are you willing to have fun with making money? Are you willing to have money not be such a serious matter?
Well, you know, and as I'm thinking about it, Henry Ford has this quote, and I'm not sure the exact quote, so I'm just going to butcher it slightly. But it says something like, oh yeah, sorry. It's something like if money is the only thing your business makes, then it's kind of a sorry excuse for business, right? It's business is not just about making money, and if I can just Google that quote, that'd be great. But it's something like that, and I thought, you know, what a beautiful quote that was. where it's like he recognized that business is, and what we do, not just, not just if you own a business, but like your life is about contributing and creating something that maybe has never been here on the planet before. And what can you do and be and create if you viewed it that way instead of, oh, here it is. A business that makes nothing but money is a poor business. See, I did butcher it, but I found it.
Well,
yeah.
I wonder where along the line that, has money always been such a serious thing?
Oh, that's such a
wonder.
great question. Yeah, who created it as serious?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Ugh.
Yeah.
So,
right. And when let's say I find money on the ground, that's really joyful.
yeah, I
What
laugh
other
that
ways?
most people are more excited about finding a dime on the ground than they are about receiving their paycheck. Because, again, that's where expectations come in. Like, well, you expected the paycheck, or oh, you wish it were more, or something like that, It's like, but could you celebrate every dime you get, every dollar you get, all of it? And what would it create if you did?
I love that. And that is even as I'm now, when I pay my bills, I am so grateful. I say thank you. I'm so grateful that I have the money to be paying these bills. And what would it take for the money that I'm paying to come back to me tenfold?
I love that. Yeah.
What would it take for more of this to show up with ease and in unexpected ways? And being joyful, like you said, for every single penny that comes in, whether it's gifted you, whether you've, earned it in a paycheck, whether it's somebody buying you coffee or giving you something. A friend of mine wrote in a group that I'm in, does it count that I'm receiving money when I just got $1,000 worth of slate for, working on a slate patio? I was like, oh my gosh, what an interesting way to be receiving money. And all of that is receiving money. Maybe not in the way you traditionally think about it, but what if everything that comes in, you have the attitude of gratitude, and you're grateful for every penny that shows up in your bank account, in your PayPal account. You open up a check, you open up the mail, and here's a check from your insurance company because maybe you overpaid them a little bit, or whatever it is, where you're grateful and you thank that money for showing up in your life. So when you're thanking money for showing up, how much more can you invite in?
Yes. Yeah, it's an invitation. It's as though, money were a lover or a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And are they happier to show up? Are your friends happier to show up when you're having a good time and you celebrate them, or when you're pissed off and disappointed that they're not enough?
Yeah, so true. And right, so whose party would you rather go to? Would you rather go to a party where you know that there's going to be one bowl of chips and everybody's going to sit around and be miserable and complain? Or would you like to go even to the same party where there's one bowl of chips and everybody is laughing and joyful and playing and embracing life? Where would you rather go?
I'd rather go to the fun party. You're making me hungry.
You're going to go get some chips after the show, right?
I think so.
So that's, those are some of, we really could probably talk about money for a good couple of months solid, right? There's so many layers to it all. So this is a little taste of what we were talking about with money follows joy. So everywhere that you are, right, so what invitation can you be for more money and more joy to find you?
To me, that's a question to keep asking every day. Like, it's not just a one-time question. It's like, what invitation can I be today? Because when you're aware, I have a group that a coaching group that I meet with twice a month. And we've been talking a lot about message and how we show up and all of that. And people say you're supposed to have your elevator speech. And Michael Neal's take on that, and he ran my coach training, and he's a Hay House author. He says, I've never met a client in an elevator. Now, it could happen. However, that kind of having that speech in your back pocket kind of negates your wisdom in the moment. So if you're being the invitation and showing up and being present, then you're going to hear, that this is a mother of two and she's really stressed out and she's, and you can gear what you say to what she needs. So instead of just giving your canned speech, especially if you're a healer or something like that, it's like allow your wisdom to arise in any given moment rather than having something, that you consistently rely upon that you made up months ago. It's kind of a different way of being and being that invitation. And ultimately, Betsy, when you were talking about that, it seems also you're referring more to the energy of how we show up in the world too.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
When you're being you, I'll stop in just a second. When you're being you, there's an inviting quality because there's a sense of joy. Like Betsy, she's so playful. It's fun to be around her.
Oh, thank you. Well, and that, I know that for a long time I avoided money. I avoided talking about it. I avoided thinking about it. I would get things in the mail and I wouldn't open them. I knew they were bills, or I had decided they were bills. So, I can't deal with this now. I can't deal with this now. Right? So how much was I, by doing all this avoiding, how much was I not inviting money into my life? And now that's just not, I'm always asking, where else can money find me? How can it show up in completely unexpected ways? And when you start asking questions like that, with no point of view about how or what, if it ever showed up, how it will show up, and you are that invitation, it's really funny what will start showing up in your life with money.
What great questions.
I've gotten really interesting phone calls about, hey, would you like to do A, B, and C? Something that wasn't even in the realm of possibility for me. And I kind of just sometimes open my mouth in awe of like, that just happened? Seriously? And that's by asking questions.
Yeah.
So everywhere that you're not asking questions, everywhere you're not being the invitation for whatever it is that you desire to create in your life, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all that.
Yes.
Okay, yay! Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online, shorts, boys and beyond. And what, again, I know I keep saying the word invitation, and it is, and if there's another word besides invitation, I'm not thinking of it right now, but it is seriously being that willingness to receive. Where when I was shut down completely about money, and I avoided phone calls, and I avoided talking about it, I was nowhere in a position to receive anything. And because my focus was on avoidance and all the awful bills I had and all the decisions and all the that I had created around all of it, that's what kept showing up. Like,
imagine that.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, wait. What you resist persists? Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, and what you focus on expands. And
Yeah.
if we look at our lives, we can see, oh, what have I been focusing on? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What have I been resisting? And ask to have it be really clear, and it will be.
Mm.
And then you can change it, because when you're aware of something, you can change it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming to listen to us.
Yes,
on Imperfect
we so
Brilliance.
appreciate you.
And our next show will be on Radical Abundance. We look forward to playing with you next.